Okay, the whole sphere of professors working in universities, running their own labs, this whole sphere is a big giant mystery box for me. Help me understand what goes on here. Who is a professor? What do they do? What's their role in the overall process? What are they looking for? Why are they looking for such? Just talk to me a little bit more about. Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old.
Sorry. So I mean, this is actually a good question. So I mean, as I see it, I mean, I'm not a professor, so I can only give you
Your
an opinion
perspective.
from the outside, right? So there are different kinds of professors in different parts of the world, I would say. Specifically, I can talk about Europe here because I've been more involved with professors inside of the EU. These professors are basically getting funded from the industry, right? And there are some industrial projects. For example, there would be a car manufacturing company who wants to kind of collaborate with the academic sphere, and try to get the research from the academic sphere, and then try to kind of apply that research into their particular products, right? So a professor is basically overlooking the entire process, right? A professor would bring in the industrial collaborations, and that means basically money to fund the lab, right? And then with that particular with that amount of money, he would actually hire people like me to work on some projects, which would eventually go on to help the industry, right? So okay, I mean, research is fundamental. Research is like looking into new stuff, but at the end of the day, you also need to apply it somewhere. If the research is not going to be applied anywhere, so what's the point?
This actually fits right into the next question that I had in mind. Is the work that you're doing, how does it get translated into, or how does it go upstairs? I would say upstairs because I'm picturing research at the super granular level, sort of your.
You mean this low level fundamental stuff, right?
Fundamental stuff. Yeah. How does it get translated into the upper levels of industry? How does it get commercialized? Who does it? For example, the object detection that you have worked on, this research, how will it find its way into a car that maybe I'm driving someday?
So I mean, first of all, research would take time, right? So the stuff which I'm kind of doing right now, it would probably take a lot of time to get implemented into an eventual car, right? But what happens is that I am working closely with the car manufacturer, right? So the funding is partially coming from the car manufacturer and partially from another project, right? So which is a research project. So I have this collaboration with this car manufacturer. They give us some requirements that we should be looking into this particular area, right? We look into this particular area and open up new research directions, right? And then we kind of propose something starts to work. We also have to kind of do our own research work or complete our own requirements of a PhD. We write a publication, for example, on this. And then we also have this non-disclosure agreement going on with our industrial partners, right? So this research is exclusively done to help them in their particular product, right? So we are doing this fundamental stuff, and then this is taken with our help by the industrial partners, where there are engineers, where there are scientists, maybe even working and trying to kind of take this particular fundamental research and put and try to kind of have this prototyping done, right? That maybe even if it works or not, right? And then they would have this prototyping done. They would kind of try to implement this stuff there, right? And so they would test it out, but that is kind of their hands-on job, right? There could also be more PhD students who are actually doing it for them, because they could have more collaborations, right? So this kind of is like this is how you kind of close this loop, right? So you have this fundamental stuff, the industry takes it, but they have the power to kind of visualize it into an actual car, because they're working on that, right? So that is kind of how the chain of command goes.
So if I'm a company and I want to commission your lab or your people to conduct some research, what will be the KPIs for that funding? So what do you need to do that will be that will be basically the deliverable for the research that you've done? Is your deliverable just putting out and publishing a paper, or are there any more ways that the funding is basically structured and how it's paid out, when it's paid out? How does that whole thing work?
I would say publication is one part of this whole spectrum, right? So by writing a publication, we kind of show that our work is kind of accepted by the community, right? And it has some value to it, right? And by displaying this value, we are actually telling people, or let's say in this case, industrial partners, that you could actually take this because this has already been peer reviewed or has been looked upon by some other people in the field who are experts, right? And this has a chance to kind of work, right? So publication, I would say, is just one part of this whole spectrum, right? So this is not the main goal. But coming back to your question, so what is kind of these requirements which are being given to us by the industry? So these are some requirements which are kind of agreed upon before even starting the project. So for example, my advisor or my postdoc or whoever writes this grant proposal would have a higher level overview of what exactly can they offer to the industry, right? So they would write this whole research proposal. They would say that we have this background in this, and how exactly can our research in the future help you, right? Because research is more talking what can happen in the future. So nobody is really certain that it would work out or not work out. So there has to be kind of a trust between the industry and the academia, that whatever people are saying would actually hopefully materialize one day. But it could also happen that it just turns out to be a dead end, and that's also okay. That's also research, in my opinion, right? So my advisor or my professor has this overall broader overview of this whole project. He writes a proposal, and then this proposal is kind of looked by the industry. That does it really help them in any way?
So generally, what does it look like in terms of deliverables? Like, do you say that? So if I want to write a proposal today, what would I generally look for in terms of pitching? Do I say something to the tune of, you are going to learn X, Y, and Z about this problem that you're facing, or we are going to help formulate a solution to this problem, whatever? Like, generally, what does that look like, the proposal?
So so generally the proposal would be general as well, right? So in research you cannot be really specific, because you cannot say that I'm going to build an autonomous driving car by 2025. Some people have done that, and let's not go into that, but
they're regretting it now.
So there is no such thing as surety, I feel, in research, right? So this research proposal would be more connecting what this research group has done before. For example, they have worked on autonomous driving before, and they have solved this problem, right? And then you kind of show that we have this experience, we have the people cut for the roles, right? And they could actually help you later on in your particular products, right? But you do not really say that this is something which would be done, or this is something which you kind of give this holistic or this overall picture that this is something which we would be looking into this because we have the expertise to look into this, right? And then the industry has to decide that this really useful for them or not.